Yo, what's up, everybody? It's John.
My name is Justin.
Today we're talking about evaluating a rental property.
Alright, so this property that we're evaluating, it is in an undisclosed location in Florida somewhere. So the price of this property, first off, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. If you want to go ahead and write that down, John. 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Keep going.
And it is $139,000, so hey. Alright, so first thing we look at is the rent. The way that we estimate the rent for this particular property is we look at all the rents around the area and we kind of just gauge on based on other rental properties, which one, or we just find one that's similar to ours, see what it's going for, see how many views it has, and one of the spots that you can go ahead and look at that is,
Hot Pads.
Hot Pads. So Hot Pads is the website you can go on to evaluate the properties for the rent. So this rent that we estimated was $1,250, which is a little bit below what we think we might be able to get for it, but we always want to guess a little low just to be safe when we're doing
conservative with all your numbers.
Exactly.
Right? So we're conservative with the purchase price by putting what they're asking it at. You know, we're not going to buy it what they're asking it at. We're probably going to get it lower.
Yep.
Putting the rent lower than what we can probably get. We're probably going to be able to get $1,300, probably $1,775. You know.
Easy.
$1,250 though, we're gonna get a tenant in there right away, no problems.
So you want to go ahead and explain what GRM is?
So your GRM is gonna be your gross rent multiplier, which I wrote over here, and that is gonna be your purchase price divided by your gross annual rent. Okay.
So one thing to note about GRMs is so 7 is on the a GRM of 7 is actually very, very good. That means that you have a solid investment property in front of you. And then the high end would be around 12, which means that the property doesn't rent so well, and you're probably not going to have as much of a cash flow.
So generally speaking, as your GRM gets lower, your cash flow is increased compared to the purchase price.
Yeah.
And as that happens, you're usually getting into lower tier properties. But then as you get into higher tier properties that are in areas that are going to appreciate much more in value, then you're going to have GRMs that are going to be higher. So it's kind of a catch-22, you know? It's a balancing act, just like everything. It's all just a paradox, whereby as you increase your GRM, increase, but decrease the number, as the number gets better, you're probably getting into a lower tier property, right? But as the number gets higher, and you're decreasing your GRM, the number's getting higher, then you're getting into better area properties, right? So it's a balancing act. My goal is somewhere between 10 and 8. So I don't really like anything above 10 because I feel like I'm not getting enough bang for my buck. And then I think about the properties that are below 8 because I'm hesitant based on the area and things like that. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that if I find a property that's giving me a 7 GRM and it's in a great area, you know, I'm all in, right? Cool. You know, a deal's a deal, right?
Fourth thing we look at is the down payment. So what we do is we're just doing a 20% down payment, since that's typically the minimum amount of down payment that you want to put on a property. So this property is $139,000, so the is 20%.
So, a note on down payment is you got to be looking at your loan to value. And the lender really wants a loan to value no greater than 65%, which means that they don't want the loan to exceed 65% of the purchase price, or the price that the property appraises at. So, when you do have a number that is greater than 65%, and in this case we do, it's at 80%, right? Then you're gonna probably have to get mortgage insurance, which is not a big deal. It's gonna be about $50 a month for every $100,000 loan that you have.
Yeah,
so
it is one more expense that you'd rather not have if you don't have to. And so I guess something else to note too as well is that the down payment really does reflect the cash flow. So I mean, when you're putting down the down payment, you got to consider that as well. The more down payment you put, the higher your cash flow is going to be.
Yeah, so that's another paradox. It's another catch-22, is that as you're putting more down payment, you're going to increase your cash flow, but later on, as we'll show, you're going to decrease your cash on cash ROI. So, again, balancing act. You want to find the happy medium with everything.
So next number we got here is the principal plus the interest. We go ahead and calculate that out. We use a 4% interest rate on the loan, on the 30-year mortgage. And what that comes out to is $530. Do you have anything to add about principal and interest? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we're doing this based off like a 30-year fixed mortgage, pretty standard, and as you talk to your lender, you're gonna be figuring out these numbers. He's gonna be running the numbers with you, telling you roughly what they're gonna be, and usually the lender is gonna be combining principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Oh, we never wrote insurance here.
Yeah, we'll just add that in.
Yeah.
I guess it's good to note that right now we're looking at condos mostly, so the insurance is on the low end. If you want to explain how that works, even.
Yeah. So like the insurance with a condo is gonna be a lot less than with like a single family house. The reason being is that with a condo, you're usually only insuring the inside of the building, whereas with a single family house, you're insuring the exterior, you're insuring the roof, you're insuring the land all around the property. There's a lot more that can go wrong by a single family home than with a condo.
Yeah. So
because a lot of things that happen, anything that happens outside the condo is going to be involving your HOA. So
what we estimate, we just do $50 a month for the insurance, pretty basic on
and that's
apartment.
Realistically, that's on the high end for most condos that you're going to be renting out. We're not talking about $1 million condos here, okay? We're talking about investment condos, investment properties,
exactly.
Right?
Here, so taxes. So for taxes, what we usually do is we usually calculate about 1.5% on the purchase price of the house. So in this case, 1.5%, so $22,085 is what the year is, and we want to divide that by 12. You can see this. So what we're looking at per month is $174.
So in our neck of the woods, realistically, the taxes are going to be 1.5% of your purchase price, and this is the mortgage that never goes away. Uncle Sam always wants his piece, right? So
exactly.
Keep Uncle Sam happy. We're going to calculate our taxes in there, and that's also going to be calculated usually with your lender, right? Because the PITI, key thing to remember, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance.
Yeah.
So that's going to be these three numbers combined.
So HOA. So the HOA, what we usually do is we usually filter out our searches to less than $300 a month for the HOA, because any more in our and just doesn't become a good investment property at that point.
Yeah. Depending on your area, depending on the type of property you're looking at, you might increase that number, you might decrease that number. It's whatever you feel comfortable with, But
exactly.
Look around, see what's going on in your neck of the woods, and figure out what is a comfortable HOA that leaves, still leaves some money on the table for yourself.
Yeah, so this property is $230 a month for the HOA.
So now we're going to calculate your total expenses.
Yeah, so what we do is we add up this figure here, the insurance, the HOA. Is $984 our total expenses that we are responsible for paying each month.
So how much? What's the cash flow now? So
cash flow, what we want to do, we want to take this $1,250 and we want to subtract the $984. So what we get for the cash flow is we get $266 per month, which is not bad.
Beautiful. $266 in your pocket.
I personally try to target properties over 300, but this is with putting 20% down, so you can really mess with that cash flow by switching up numbers here and there. It just really depends on your situation.
And also, you can do things like, why don't you run the numbers at 130? What happens when purchase price becomes 130. What happens to your cash flow? So then what you're gonna figure out is, all right, purchase price is X, but for this property, for me to feel comfortable owning it, for it to be a deal for me, I need to spend no more than Y. So when you're putting in your offers, you don't go over your Y, and when they're saying, nope, we can't accept that, or they're countering with things that are higher than what makes it a deal for you, you let them know straight up, this property is no longer a deal at that price, it doesn't work out for me, I can't justify closing this transaction. And guess what? You move on to another property, because there's always another property. There's always another investment right around the corner. Yep. So don't get hung up when the numbers don't crank out for you. Tweak the numbers. Tweak this for yourself. Maybe tweak the down payment for yourself. Maybe you say, all right, maybe I'll put down $35,000, right? Maybe you have a friend, a partner, family member who wants to get in on the action with you, right? Then that boosts your down payment. Well, if you're boosting your down payment, you're boosting your cash flow. You might have to give up some of that cash flow, but oh well, because as you crank out these deals, as you start purchasing your properties, guess what? If you have a partner, that's gonna make it everything all the more merrier, because now you have more and more connections, more and more money to put to more deals, right?
Exactly.
You're never gonna run out of money. Yep. You're never going to run out of money. The only reason you run out of money is because you think you ran out of money. You're the only thing that's stopping you from purchasing another property.
I like that. Our last figure down here, you can barely see it. It's cash on cash, ROI. So it's your return on investment, which means in order to get that, what you're doing is you're taking your cash flow and you're multiplying it by 12 to figure out what your yearly cash flow is. So the percentage that you're receiving per year on the money that you put down is 11.48%. 11.48%.
So one thing about cash and cash ROI is most people are going to be talking about their ROI, but you don't want to focus on the ROI because that is not what you invested, right? You didn't invest $139,000, right? You invested $27,800, right? The bank invested $111,200, right? So you want to figure out your return on investment based on what you invested. And that's why we look at the cash on cash ROI, as in the cash on the cash invested. This is the cash invested by your part, right? So don't focus on just the general ROI, because that's not going to show you anything. Right? You want to know what your return on investment is on your money, right?
Exactly.
Your tenant is going to be paying this. Your tenant is paying the loan, not you. Your tenant pays the loan, right? And that's the whole magic of the system, is that you're getting these loans and, it costs X to debt for the service, right? It costs X to service that debt a month, but you're pulling in Y. And Y is bigger than X. So magic happens. And it takes 30 years, but who cares? If you're young, if you're old, who cares? Doesn't matter. So, and the other thing is, you're going to be wheeling and dealing. You're going to be getting more and more properties. Trust me, you're not going to be paying this property off in 30 years. You're going to be paying this property off in 10 years, in 7 years, in 12 years, right? You're not going to be going the whole 30 years.
Yeah. And I mean, this is it. This is the process in which we use to evaluate each property.
So if you want to learn more about this, if you want to get started purchasing your first property, we're here to hold your hand. We're here to help you, right? So our email's in the comments below, or in the description below. Shoot us an email, join our mentorship program. We establish your goal. So your goal might be purchasing your first property, right? And then we're going to reverse engineer what it is you need to be doing today in order to get that property tomorrow, right? So join our mentorship program. It's $100 a month. We're going to do weekly email updates. We're here to work with you and meet your goals. Anything else you want to add?
No, that was great.
All right.
Well, thanks for watching, guys.
Stay tuned for more. Peace.